Okay, hello. Welcome to the SN Techwire pod, everyone. I am Chloe Riley, executive editor of Supermarket News. And today we are diving into, one of the biggest trends in grocery retail right now, retail media networks, RMNs. I mean, they've, just creating some real exciting opportunities for grocers. We know they also come with some challenges. And especially I think when it comes to, sort of reaching that new uncommitted customer. So, today's episode, we're going to be looking at and talking at, where it is that RMNs deliver value, what's missing. And we're also going to look at really how that, personalized basket level promotion can really complement sort of the RMN strategy to really drive that measurable growth. And so to break it all down, I'm joined today by Tyler Renaghan, VP of Grocery at Upside. Thanks for joining us, Tyler.
Chloe, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Nice. And where are you joining us from today?
I am in Chicago, Illinois.
Nice. I am in Woodstock, Illinois, aka an hour away from you right now.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Okay, well, let's dive in, to a little retail media talk. So I feel like, obviously retail media networks, they've just been a huge focus and a huge opportunity for grocers, especially in recent years. What's really driving this trend? Where did this all come from?
It is a big trend right now. And I think it actually all comes back to the customer has changed how they shop. So if we think pre-pandemic, customers would just go into the store. And yeah, of course, people would use e-commerce and order their groceries to be delivered. But it wasn't until the pandemic that actually forced customers to change the way they shop. Well, that's not stopped. A customer is looking into grocery retailers and brands through mobile experiences, through digital experiences, and even through different changes to the physical experience in the store.
So really, yeah, we've seen a big sort of that consumer behavior shift is really what's sort of largely driving this. And so what have we seen retailers do in response to that behavioral change?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the customer votes with their dollar. And so retailers have to react. And some are fast to react and some are slow to react. And that's okay. But what I've seen is a lot of retailers have doubled down on their loyalty programs. So how can they offer something to customers to help keep them coming back into their store versus going to another store? A lot of retailers have expanded their e-com offerings. So in addition to being able to deliver groceries, customers who are on their phone can order their groceries to be prepared for curbside pickup. There's a lot of digital tools that we've seen retailers introduce, like electronic shelf labels, kiosks in stores. I even read not too long ago, another retailer installed grocery TVs in their stores. Again, trying to create that immersive experience to help earn that customers, which brings us to why we're talking today. They're also investing in retail media networks, really combining the brand with the retailer, trying to create that positive customer experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's good too to like get a, sort of a benchmark for when we talk about retail media networks, are we talking about like, it's sort of a whole ecosystem, isn't it? So, I mean, there's your phone is obviously, a huge part of that and the ads that can be delivered on your phone, but isn't there store or retail media network opportunities too? Isn't there in terms of wanting to drive people in store? Can you talk about that as well?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think the origination of retail media was very mobile and digital only as a channel. But what we're seeing is it's going well beyond that in kind of all aspects of a customer's life. And I think that's what's so interesting for retailers is and brands, if we're honest, having that opportunity to be where the customer is. And what I mean is digitally, mobile, even physically. So you can see interactive TV ads that tap into the retail media networks. You could see the third parties that are e-commerce tapping into retail media networks. You could see in-store opportunities through electronic shelf labels and even those TVs. So it's everywhere.
Right. It's sort of a mirror of how people have evolved, how shopper behavior has evolved, right? Like there is, of course, the e-com and the I want delivery, I want pickup, but then even people, even I feel like numbers have shifted even since the pandemic, that people who are largely delivery, now we're seeing sort of a mix, that they want to be some delivery, sometimes they're going in store. So I think it kind of also is just a reflection of how we've seen consumer behavior evolve, especially since the pandemic days.
I think that's exactly right. Yeah. Like customers, people, me, you, we have preferences, and mine may be different than yours, and mine may change over time too. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing.
And so let's talk about what's valuable about RMNs for grocers. How should they be thinking about this, and what are some of the biggest opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, the retailer and the consumer packaged goods companies, the CPG companies, like they go back as old as retail is and CPG is. And they've always had partnerships working together, whether that's through a CPG putting an end cap in place inside one of their stores or a preferred placement in one of the aisles. And so that partnership is not novel. I think what retail media has done has opened up a new revenue channel for both the brands and the retailers. And I think that's super interesting because it gives both the retailer and the brand, like we talked about, to be where that customer is, to really tap into what additional information can we gather about these customers and their shopping behaviors in order to hopefully get them to buy that next item, to buy something that they maybe weren't aware of that was offered by that brand in that store. And so really giving these retailers a chance to enhance their relationship with the customers they already have and hopefully get them to buy more products. And I think it's important to also call out that typically what we see is these offers are at that item level where they're giving them that recommendation or that incentive to buy some things that maybe they weren't going to, maybe they were, not sure.
Yes, and I feel like too, I've got a question here, which is, what type of customer are RMNs best suited for? Now, I'm going to go on a limb and say omni-channel shoppers, or that's the instinct that comes to my mind. But tell me, Tyler, am I right in my thinking on that, or who is the type of customer that RMNs are best suited for?
I think that's exactly right, and I think that is somebody who is willing to engage with a retailer and a brand in all of the ways that they're putting those offers out there. And so whether that's in store, whether that's e-com, whether that's a third party digital experience, that customer is most likely to engage in these offers because they are more digitally engaged, and that there then leads to a more omni-channel shopper. I also see this opportunity really maximizing that already existing loyalty customer, because if you're a loyalty customer, you're likely also already exposed to either their app or the digital email offers. And that is the way for the retailer and a brand to continue to talk and continue to try to earn that guest's grocery spend.
Nice. No, thanks for calling out loyalty. I definitely feel like that's a huge part of this. One of the other discussions around RMNs is this idea of the balance between sort of access to insights as well as data control. And how should retailers be thinking about that?
One of the frustrations I hear a lot from retailers is some retail media networks appear to be a black box. Now, I don't think they all are. And it's important to call out that, like you said, it's the entire ecosystem. They're all different and they all offer different levels of insights and reporting. But from a retailer's perspective, it's really hard for them to know and have true visibility into how did that campaign perform? How did it drive incremental business to my store? A lot of times the reporting goes back through to the brand, because the CPG brands are the ones that are typically funding these, and they want to know how effective their spend was. But from a retailer's perspective, how do they know that that's something that a customer wasn't going to buy anyways? And how do I know that it's actually driving more business to my store? And if they are also a part of the spend, how do I know it's an effective spend? So I think that's a lot of the frustration I hear when talking to retailers about assessing retail media networks and even working with them.
Sure. So a little bit more, we have the orientation is just a little bit more towards the CPG company in terms of really that measurement and kind of that effectiveness and even kind of anticipating behavior.
Yeah, and I don't mean to generalize too much, but that's typically what we hear.
Sure. So, if RMNs, it sounds like, are helping grocers better serve existing customers, then what additional strategies should they be considering to bring in sort of the infrequent shopper?
Yeah, I wish I had the perfect answer.
Wait a minute, you're telling me you came on this podcast and you don't have the perfect answer? Get out of here. Get off. Go back to your Chicago.
1,000 of my own stores,
no kidding,
designed to get only new customers in. No, I mean, it's hard. Like we see customers shopping at over 5 stores per month, and I don't know that that's going to stop. Like it's hard out there right now for households to feed their families. They're looking for value. They're looking for ways to stretch their dollar, and for whatever reason, if somebody is not shopping with you, there's friction there. Maybe the store's just too far and you turn right to go home on your way from work and the store is just 1 block out of your way. Well, there's some amount of friction keeping you from going into that store either for the first time, or maybe you're incredibly infrequent. Maybe you're only using that store as your tertiary, like midweek fill-in, but you're not thinking about it as your primary grocery shop. And so there are a lot of tactics out there to acquire those new customers or change that customer's behavior to get them to start shopping with you. It's also really hard to do that in a cost-effective way. So those are some of the challenges that I see and some of the tactics out there. Retail media is a fantastic one, coupled with loyalty to earn more of that existing customers spend. But again, converting that uncommitted customer to becoming primary, really difficult.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like Upside, you guys sort of take the different approach by offering, more of a kind of a whole basket level personalized promotion instead of just, thinking item by item. I'd like to hear, how does that change shopper behavior? And then I'd also like to hear just from, your perspective of this moment, in this really inflationary environment where we're now starting to see, shoppers even moving away from private label, which has not matched with, what we've seen the last several years since the pandemic. So tell me, how does what you guys offer change shopper behavior? But then also, are you still seeing it be effective in this kind of real inflationary environment?
Yeah. So to level set on Upside's offers, we offer a percentage cash back on your total basket up to a certain dollar amount per trip. And the reason I think that's important is because maybe you're shopping a store for their fresh produce. It's likely true you're buying paper products, and maybe you're just not buying it from that store. And so by putting a percentage cash back on your total basket in front of that customer, you've now given them an incentive that sounds like the more you spend, the more you save. And so rather than just popping in for the fresh produce or shopping the perimeter of their store, they know that if they're earning 5% cash back on their total basket, maybe they'll come into the center of the store. Maybe they'll pick up some of those products that they're likely buying, but probably buying from somewhere else. And so changing that customer's mindset actually helps earn more of a long-term behavior change, getting them to shop with the stores that are participating on Upside. Said differently, taking some of those shops away from the stores that are not on Upside. So that's the way that we see personalized basket level offers truly changing behavior above and beyond those item level offers, which are important, but they're recommending the next best item versus helping a customer shop the entire store.
Nice.
And then the second part of your question, go ahead. Can you ask it again?
Go ahead.
Well, it was
it was inflation.
Yeah.
Inflation. And how have you guys seen that this kind of strategy hold up in this environment?
Yeah. I mean, inflation's been through the roof the past couple of years. It's supposed to have stabilized. I read a lot about it potentially going back up. The impact that's had on the customer's behavior is, like you described, customers are trading down in terms of products and units. And then customers are even trading out of stores altogether and seeking value from those everyday low priced retailers where they can feed their families in a cost effective way. So what's unique about Upside is it's actually creating a bit of a perfect virtuous cycle. Because you can earn cash back on your total basket, you don't have to trade down. You don't have to trade out altogether. And maybe you can continue to buy the national brand products in addition to the high quality, high value private label products, because you're earning cash back on all of them, not just one or the other. And so we actually see this long-term benefit of retailers retaining those customers because of their loyalty program and Upside working complementary together. And then you have retail media in there also adding value.
Nice. How do you guys, kind of building off that, how do you guys measure success differently from RMNs? And I would say, what makes that approach more transparent, perhaps?
Yeah, I think what's important and unique about Upside is we actually don't take credit for anything a retailer is doing. Investing in loyalty, creating their own digital ads, partnering with retail media networks, seasonality, it's March Madness right now. All of these things are going to drive sales for retailers. Well, Upside looks at all of that, and we compare somebody using Upside with all of those other customers you have who are not using Upside in order to isolate our impact above and beyond everything you're doing. And so we're quite specifically only looking at the incremental sales that Upside's driving, and then we're able to measure that behavior change and have a profit share model based on only that incremental sales.
Nice. So it sounds just like a clearer picture overall.
Yeah, I think it's important to call out, we mentioned a black box. We are 100% transparent. And so we're partnered with that retailer, sharing all of those insights, sharing all of that measurement approach in order to, again, truly isolate our sales above and beyond everything that they are driving, creating a complementary partnership.
Nice. And Tyler, can you give us a case study, of maybe a recent example of how a grocer has used Upside to drive growth?
Sure. We can use Giant Eagle. So we've been partnered with them for about 18 months now. They have terrific adoption of their rewards program. Here's what's interesting. Of all of the customers that Upside is sending in, we saw a 3x increase in trip frequency from their least loyal segment. Mm-hmm. Said differently, those customers are already a part of their rewards program. But just because you're a part of a rewards program does not mean you are fiercely loyal to that retailer. I think we all have our phone numbers added into 10 different rewards and loyalty programs out there. And so their rewards program plus Upside was able to drive a 3x increase in trip frequency, which was pretty exciting.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So, I mean, exciting to see, just the reactivation of those people who, were either, maybe lost or, much more infrequent shoppers. That's great to hear.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. And I guess one other stat while we're on it, of all of the customers that Upside was sending in, there was a segments that were brand new to their business and not yet a part of their rewards program. Of those customers, about 60% went on to sign up for their rewards program. So we talked a little bit earlier, Upside's ability to attract these customers who are not shopping with that retailer yet, or very infrequently, we can help them acquire those customers in, and then together we can help keep them.
Nice. Yeah. And I feel like, as we were just talking about, I mean, I think it is, it's just worth taking a deeper look at how large the impact of inflation and continued inflation can have on shoppers. And so this idea of offering something attractive, something different in terms of savings, can be really powerful, it sounds like. So
yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Nice. Okay. Well, so to wrap this up, if a retailer is evaluating RMNs, alongside these other strategies, what sort of key questions should they be asking to ensure, they're making that right investment?
Yeah. I think it's important, as we discussed, all retail media networks are not equal. They're all different, and they all serve different purposes. And so when you think about that, the players involved are the end customer, the brand, the retail media network itself, and the retailer. And so really ask yourself, who of those players is front and center, and who are they valuing most. And as a retailer, I'd recommend finding opportunities that offer your customer, your community, the most value, and therefore you benefit because of that. And so I would weigh each of those factors. I'd also ask very directly, can I see into the black box? Can I see the results? How is this impacting my business? What kind of analysis can we do to truly measure the behavior change? And then I would think about, are they helping me earn that new customer, changing that behavior of that infrequent customer and not just adding value to my existing customer, which gets me to my last point. Like, is it truly incremental, or am I simply cannibalizing my already existing sales that I would have had anyways?
Nice. Great. I feel like those are very thoughtful. Also just very, kind of advocating for yourself kind of in this process when evaluating RMNs. So that's great. Thank you for those.
Yeah.
Tyler, anything else that stands out that we should be taking away on RMNs?
Yeah. I mean, I guess a couple of final thoughts. Like we said several times, retail media networks are not all the same. And as we've discussed, there's a lot of value from partnering with retail media. And it's important to call out that a retail media network and upside are not mutually exclusive. We all can exist to help retailers grow their business. Retail media is monetizing that existing traffic, oftentimes through digital channels and new in-store channels as well. While upside is helping you grow your market share, helping you earn that new customer, helping you convert that uncommitted customer, that tertiary or secondary customer, into a primary customer. And when thinking about these two together, it could be 1 + 1 actually equals 3 for the retailer. So just wanted to kind of end on how we can all play together and help support our retail partners.
Nice. I like it. Great. Well, thank you again for joining us, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It was good catching up.
Wonderful. And thank you all for watching and listening to SN Techwire, and take care, everybody.